brothers and sisters, hello, and thank you for joining me on this journey. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about healing your soul to find your light. And there have been so many beautiful speakers throughout the past 2 days, and I'm honored to be one of them. And one of the things that was heavy on my heart as I was asking what was the message that I was supposed to convey during this time was first comes truth, then comes healing. First comes truth, then comes healing. I've been seeing for the past 2 years for the collective this giant wall of water. As I sit in meditation, I can see it right now as vivid as you and I in reality. And this wall of water goes to the sky. It almost goes to the heavens. And at the very top, I can see it round off and come down on the other side. And because it's water, we can see on the other side, but not very clearly. We get premonitions, we get the nuance, we get the variations of distorted views of what's on the other side of this wall of water. And as I sit with this in meditation, like I said, I've seen this so vividly. I hear that wall of water is the truth. And the truth is coming. We've been living in such an inverted reality. Left is right, up is down, good is evil, evil is good. Everything has become so inverted. It's because confusion has ruled the day. And because confusion has ruled the day, we have been lacking our own freedom as a collective and also lacking our own freedom as individuals. And so when this wall of water falls, and it will fall and it will wash throughout the world, throughout the realm, throughout our very existence, and it will wash away all the confusion. But with it will also come tremendous humility. Because when the truth comes, no matter how much we're in the truth community or how much we're seeking esoteric knowledge, how much we're seeking truth, not one of us has ever obtained the fullness of truth. However, the fullness of truth is equally yours and equally mine and right to have. Because we are part of this creation and we are part of the Creator. And from that place, why we have had the truth kept from us is because we are such powerful divine beings. Human, a light being, a light man. Mankind is light. When Jesus talked in the Sermon on the Mount, the very first message that Jesus gives to the population that listened to him on the public spectrum, he tells them, ye, plural you all are the light of the world. Without qualification, without saying, if you believe this or do this, if you say this or acknowledge this, you'll be light. No, he's saying, it's time you remember, dear one, you are light. You are a human, a light being. And so from accepting the truth that is coming, we will step fully into our light. But because we've lived in confusion, lived in distorted truths, half-truths, and manipulations, spellbound words that have been kept in perpetuation of us using over and over to curse, being taught cursive to manifest the reality that wasn't our choosing, nor is it the divine order of all things. We are slowly pulling back from that and waking up to the reality of what true beauty and true light is. You see, where there is no light, there is no life. This is an incredibly important remembrance to have and hold on to, because so often, and I talk about it a lot, we must go into the darkness. We have to face the darkness in order to heal our own trauma, in order to heal and liberate our own souls. However, when we stay in the darkness without remembering that we are the light, we get lost in that darkness, and in darkness, no life exists. So as the truth, this wall of water falls and washes away all the lies and deceptions, and the truth does come, and it is coming. It's coming slowly. And why is it coming slowly? For so many who have been in the truth community, I know it feels like when, or, when people are begging, when's the truth? But if you can take a step back and see that the truth is coming, and it's coming in the most loving way. It's as if the whole world, all of us have been sleeping in utter darkness. And instead of God just flipping the light switch on and blinding us, he slowly, with a dimmer, with the most intentionality, increasing that light slowly and slowly, so it doesn't hurt our eyes, so that when the time comes, when light external matches the light internal, we will look around and we will see everything for what it truly is in its proper place. This will also bring great humbling and great humility. This will bring a lot of tears. There's a verse in the Bible that says God wipes away all our tears from our eyes. Ironically, even though that sounds like a nice sentiment, that happens in the book of Revelation where we're before God. So we had to have gone before God, and he wipes our tears away from our eyes. Tears, and someone else spoke earlier in this beautiful event, that tears are connection to our heart. I think it was Chris from Come Out Better, but tears are connected to our heart. When we start to see the truth, and it humbles us, and it breaks our hearts, and it brings us to this place of openness and receiving for what is to come, and releasing all that has no longer served us, those tears will be wiped away in love, and we will finally see in light. So why all this matters? Because I've seen this on the collective for a while. First comes truth, then comes healing. However, many of us are missing the opportunity for our own personal healing. And our own personal truth has been hidden or stuffed down or forgotten due to our social circle and society's lack of creating space and holding that space for each individual to share their truth, and from that truth, liberate their own soul. It's no different than the Russian dolls. I have 4 beautiful children, and we have some Russian dolls in the house, and you have the bigger one, and you open it up, there's a smaller one, you open it up, smaller, and it gets down to this little tiny doll. But even when you open that little tiny doll, it's still empty inside. For us, however, it's a different story. And perhaps the Russian dolls are presented to confuse us that when you open the inside, there's nothing there. It could be, it's the absolute opposite. For within our dolls, within our containers, the ego layers that we uncover and peel, uncover and peel, uncover and peel, what resides within is our soul. In Hebrew, the word for soul is neshama. And neshama is the word for breath. That's why breath work and breathing and getting back into this natural realm is so invigorating and life-giving, because it increases our soul's capacity within us. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 6, it says, "And God breathed into man, and man became a living soul." Our neshama is our breath. The beautiful thing about each and every one of us, doesn't matter what creed you come from, background, ethnicity, culture, time zone, whatever your belief, when you don't breathe as deeply, I can't breathe as deeply. When you breathe more deeply, I can breathe more deeply. See, the collective benefits from the individuals doing the work of healing. And so this talk, healing our soul to find our light, has weighed very heavy on me to deliver this message, because this is the time to no longer wait for the truth that is to come, the big T truth, the universal truth. But this is our time for us to unpack the little truth, the truth that we have experienced, whether it's trauma, neglect. See, I grew up in an incredibly abusive home. In every category, I was abused. I helped my mom escape in the middle of the night. I have a suicide attempt. ran away from home multiple times. I grew up in a gnarly situation. And after I attempted suicide at the age of 20, and truly God, and I use this word very specifically, not in a religious sense, but God saved me. And yet, where I looked to find answers of what was this God that saved me, I went into religion and I went hard in the paint. And I went into Christianity and Judaism and Buddhism and Hinduism, and I read all these texts and I started consuming, but yet everything was external to my own reality before I never looked back prior to that night in November in 2002. So I locked all that trauma, all the pain, all the confusion, all the broken parts in me, the physical scarring, the emotional scarring, the spiritual scarring that I endured. And I just locked it away and tried to outrun the pain. So I'd put the smile on. I'd look like I had everything together, but inside I was dying. Truly, diagnosed years later with 2 autoimmune diseases, would collapse at random times, get sent to the hospital, going into anaphylactic shock, not due to me being allergic to anything I consumed, but being allergic to the hydrogen gas that was being produced in my body from the bad bacteria that I had residing in me. It was a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality that I had not yet come to grips of looking back and sharing my truths. I wasn't able to share my truths because the people that I surrounded myself with were in the religious community, which is dogmatically emphatic about whitewashing in a way, like, oh, forgive and God bless you, and these platitudes that mean nothing when we are dying inside. And it wasn't until 2018, in 2016, my life changed. I started having flashbacks, and I almost lost reality. I remember rubbing my hands on the carpet, talking to my wife, like, "Are you here?" Because prior to 20 years old, I never had a first-person memory. And all these first-person memories were coming back and integrating when I always would hover over my body when things would happen. So I started having these integrations in my own journey. All the trauma, all the confusion, all the fear, all the terror, being terrorized and hunted and gang stalked and horrible things happening. And yet I craved to be free. There was nothing I wanted more than freedom and love and truth and beauty and goodness. I wanted these things, and yet I was seeking an external form instead of going within and, like that Russian doll, taking the pieces off. So in 2016, my life changed, and I started going to a therapist every single week, sometimes twice a week for 2 years. But when the 2 years was done and I was still in the same somewhat spot, I was learning how to be a healthy father or how to be a husband in a healthy way. I still had something deep inside of me, the dark trauma. The physical abuse was one thing. The sexual abuse was another thing that I was not yet prepared to deal with. So I went to this emotional intelligence training, and I share this quite a bit. It was the very first time in my life, that I had ever experienced unconditional love. Where people said, what pain are you experiencing? And I would share, and they're like, what else? And I would share, and they say, what else? What else do you have in the tank? What other things have happened? This is a safe place. Share it. And so I shared, and the more I shared, and the more I felt safe enough to share, I began to breathe more deeply until I finally uttered something that I had went through that was so dark. I had never uttered it and shared it with anyone. But when I shared it, it was like I breathed air for the very first time in my life. And up until that point, I was sucking water, looking for my escape. And I realized at that moment that when I and we speak our truths, when we go back and look at those most painful memories and those painful moments, even if you weren't abused, but you were neglected, or you weren't held the way you needed to be held, or you weren't touched the way you needed to be touched, or you never were told good job, that is trauma. And it is time for all of us to start acknowledging the trauma we've gone to so that we can heal. And in healing, that soul that is wrapped tight, bound tight inside that littlest of Russian doll, starts breathing deeply and expanding. And the minute you get to the core, your light shines infinitely and reconnects to the eternal and infinite one light that we are all part of. It is time, my dear brothers and sisters, wherever you are and whatever you're going through, whatever you've gone through, your healing and your freedom, and I mean pure, unadulterated, no coercion, no limits, nothing holding you back, pure freedom, is waiting for you and I, all of us, right now. As we as individuals do the work to face the pain and speak the pain so that we can release the pain, something magical happens. And the magic and the alchemy that we are playing with and shifting the dynamics of our very genetic code awakens. And the light that is embedded in each cell and each chromosome and our DNA starts to emit at a frequency that we have yet to even understand, which is why in the Torah, when Moses goes up to Mount Sinai and has a face encounter with God, when he came down, he had to put a veil over his face because his face shone so brightly. Light emitted from every cell of his body. This isn't a story to hold to one man's account. This is a story of understanding that each and every one of us get to have the same experience. So, my dear brothers and sisters, as we wrap this year of 2022 and step into the year of 2023, as we look at our days, may we also look back upon our days and ask ourselves, where have I not looked? Where have I been unwilling to look and go into these rooms that I've kept locked tight? And may we all have the courage to open those doors and open those rooms, step into it, look into the darkness, and realize we are the light. Rumi said, if you enter a room and there is just utter darkness, look again, for you may be the light. And it is true. This is a truth. We are the light. So we have nothing to fear when we go step into darkness. We have nothing to fear when we go and unlock these rooms for us to heal, because we are light, and that light is tied directly to our soul. So, dear brothers and sisters, as I wrap this message, I want to send blessings of love, peace, and abundance to each and every one of you. For far too long, we have had our sovereignty stripped away and stolen from us. The very concept of a sovereign being was anathema to many. We knew not of it, we were not taught it, but we are stepping fully into it. And I bless you in this coming year, and I bless you in this moment, wherever you are and whenever you hear this message, I bless you for your sovereignty, for your freedom, for your beauty and goodness that you are here to share with all of us, the collective. Because first comes truth, then comes healing. And in that healing, we will truly once and for all know the pureness of infinite and unconditional love. And this, my dear ones, is our birthright. I bless you all. I love you all. And I want to thank you all for listening. If you are interested in following more, you can find me on Instagram. You can go to my website at lucasjamesmack.com, or you can listen to my podcast. It's called The Golden Rule Revolution, where I help people understand that they're not alone. I share my journey with you so you don't feel alone in your journey. So I encourage you to follow along wherever you are and know that everything is going to be okay, and we have the power to heal our own souls, to find our light. I love you all. I bless you all. Thank you.